Hello, and welcome to another episode of Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
I'm Todd Anderson.
We got Rob over here in the booth taking your questions and concerns and burns and anything else you want to spout out there in the chat. Make sure you tag at SCG Tour for your questions so he can see his favorites and send them over to us. Of course, we're brought to you by Star City Games and Carnox Shares. Make sure you go over to carnox.com/SCG.
I'm going to do your thing. Hold on.
A little lean back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could be leaning back too right now in your Carnox chair.
You could, if you had one.
Yeah, which you probably don't.
Chumps, plural.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do we have on the docket today? Because I feel like I got some cards over here that I haven't played with in a long time, Ross.
Yeah, so the Hogak Bridgevine deck, sort of the talk of everything. We played a lot with it on Tuesday. We decided to play some more with it today, but not against your traditional modern decks.
Oh, these are traditional modern decks. These are just not legal modern decks.
I would say only one of them is really a traditional modern deck. One existed for about 3 months, and the other one has never existed.
True, that's fair. So yeah, we're playing basically 3 different decks today against this Hogak Menace to see basically how broken it is, and we're pitting it against 3 different decks featuring 1 card from the modern ban list each. First up, Stoneforge Mystic.
Yes, the card that everyone's seen. Well, one of 2 cards that a lot of people want to see unbanned in modern. I've generally been on the side of, Stoneforge Mystic is probably too powerful. I think a lot of the arguments against or arguments for unbanning it are pretty facile in that they sort of ignore a lot of the context around it and just sort of look at the card itself and say turn 3 for Batterskull, like in a format where people are casting turn 3 Karn or killing you on turn 3 or transforming Thing in the Ice and returning 2 Phoenixes on turn 3 is too good, and not really understanding exactly how easy that aspect of a Stoneforge Mystic deck is, both in terms of, all I have to do is draw 1 card and 2 lands to do my thing, and in terms of this only takes up 6 spots in my deck, whereas a lot of the other powerful decks in Modern, the entire engine of the deck needs to be built in order to consistently do their powerful thing on turn 3.
Yeah, of all the arguments against Stoneforge Mystic, against Splinter Twin, those are the ones that I find have the most credence, in that the opportunity cost of playing this package of cards that gives you a pretty huge, powerful game plan is minimal, and the rest of your deck gets to be like a blue control deck. And so you get these decks featuring Stoneforge Mystic that have Stoneforge, 1 Batterskull, 1 sort of X and Y, whichever one you want to play with, and then the rest of the deck is just removal, counter spells, card draw, planeswalkers, etc. And that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, like, I think Modern is fairly degenerate in nature. And I think it's okay at some points to potentially unban some things to kind of give fair decks a bit of a boost. We've seen Bitter Blossom get unbanned. That one was banned for the entirety of Modern's existence until a few years back, and it has had virtually no effect on the format outside of like a few sideboard slots in random Esper control decks or whatever.
Unless your name is Yuta Takahashi, and then it's had an incredible impact on your specific Modern experience. Sure.
But I mean, on top of that, I just think that there are situations in which you can unban certain cards based on how the card has interacted historically with the rest of the cards in the format. Stoneforge Mystic has never been legal in Modern, but from my experience in its time in Standard, from my experience playing it in Legacy, it's never been the most powerful part of those decks. It's just something to do on turn 2 that's pretty powerful, that basically unlocks the strength of stuff like Jace the Mind Sculptor, spot removal spells, even Snapcaster Mage, and we just haven't really had that kind of powerful 2-drop in a control deck before in Modern, and it's something that I think they could use pretty well, but I don't think that it would be too powerful. And for me, I am always under the impression that you should unban things as opposed to banning them, if the time calls for it. But I don't think that your deck is long for this world.
Yeah. That said, the ability to put a bunch of reactive cards in your deck to surround a powerful threat is not going to help you that much against a deck whose engine is as powerful as Bridgevine's. You've got a lot of graveyard hate cards in your sideboard, so hopefully the post-board games get better, but I'm not sure that Stoneforge Mystic is enough to carry you when all of your lightning bolts and your mana leaks and all these other reactive cards that are in your deck do not line up well against Gravecrawler, Bloodghast, Hogak.
Yeah, this is not a specifically good test for Stoneforge Mystic. That's not really what we're trying to prove today. I'm basically just trying to say, hey, this Hogak deck is pretty messed up. We're going to put it up against some other cards that are technically banned or messed up, and we're just going to see kind of how it looks. Obviously, if we were really trying to test Stoneforge, we'd pit it against 3 current existing modern decks and kind of...
This is a current existing modern deck?
Well, pit the Stoneforge deck against 3 other existing modern decks, and yours could be one of them, and that would be a good argument. But as far as a litmus test is concerned, this is not it. This is just having some fun.
Let's see. I don't know. Stoneforge Mystic's still pretty powerful. You were able to win a couple of the games that we played.
Oh yeah, when you missed your second land drop for 4 turns.
I mean, I still made 18 power in turn 3, and top won the game.
I did.
Because of Sword, of Feast and Famine, and Batterskull. So,
but you're a graveyard deck. You don't care about discarded cards, right?
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
All right. So my particular build, and this is how I've basically built all 3 of the decks today, is I have taken basically I did not take a snapshot of the decks outside of time, right? I basically built them as if Stoneforge Mystic was unbanned yesterday, if Splinter Twin was unbanned yesterday, and Ayavugan was unbanned yesterday. Although the Ayavugan deck was basically perfect, I only changed a few cards.
Yeah, that one doesn't change much.
Who goes first? I guess you go first because I have the marble still, but your deck just feels so much more powerful than mine.
Faithless Looting.
Yeah, it resolves.
Maybe you should stop winning, and then you'd get to be on the play.
I haven't gone first in so long. Uh-oh. Ross has a gooder.
Definitely pitching this Gravecrawler. There are a lot of cards that we typically want in our hand.
Mm-hmm.
Could pitch this one, but then I'm a little vulnerable to a removal spell, which I don't want to be. I could pitch this one because it's the least powerful, but if I draw a Vengevine, I'm going to want it. So I think I just pitch another Looting. Oof.
All right, go.
That's pretty good. Let's play a Stitcher Supplier. See what we mill.
Hold on. So I can kill the Stitcher Supplier with the trigger on the stack, and then he can't cast the Gravecrawler, and it won't give him a bridge trigger if he finds a bridge. And I don't think I'm going to be spell piercing anything this turn, so we're just going to go ahead and...
Okay, so you go to 17. So now this dies and I mill 3. Those are pretty good.
So you hit a bridge, a Hogak, and a Vengevine.
And now we mill another 3 for the enters the battlefield trigger.
Yep.
Okay, 3 bricks on that one, but still.
3 good ones, but we also kind of keep Hogak in check.
So now I'm going to... I know Bloodghast, so I'm going to go to 17, get a Blood Crypt. Now I can play Carrion Feeder, and I want to play a black creature and not Neonate, because we're going to get Vengevine back, and then use these 2 to cast the Hogak. And we have exactly 5 cards we want to go. Yeah, so you're up. Nice lightning bolt.
Yeah. Seer Vision. If I was on the play this game and had been able to spell pierce, you win. I'm dead.
Got any of them Path to Exiles?
Oh yeah. Path to Exile would be real good here against the Carrion Feeder.
Yeah.
Carrion Feeder. Oh, well, you should pass the Carrion Feeder.
I'm not saying it'd work. I'm just saying it'd be nice.
Yeah. Just let's play another pre-board game. Come on. Shuffle up. You win. You win, Chief.
Yeah, I was attacking for 18 next turn.
Cool.
You were at 17.
That was the minimum. You could just kill me if you draw Altar. Also, you could just hit another Vengevine off of something. When you discarded the Faithless Looting, I was like, this ain't good. Like, your whole deck wants to be in the graveyard.
I second land, 2 Carrion Feeder, Neonate, and 2 Lootings when I was deciding on the second card to discard. I discarded one of the 2 Lootings. Ooh. Keeping a few more creatures in my hand.
shuffle this away because I don't want unfair information. I do. It's a Serum Visions, and I very much want it.
Yeah,
so
I saw that card too. Don't worry.
Just so you know, I very much want it in this hand. I'm going to keep my new 7.
It's rare that there's an opening hand where you don't really want Serum Visions.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Stoneforge Mystic didn't really get a chance to shine in that game.
You what? Really? Is it because I didn't have a turn 2 effectively? Here go. Spell Pierce it. I think I'm actually a pretty hateful iteration of a control deck in this matchup too, because I have multiple pierces and spell snares for the altars. I have Force and Negation. You know, like Path to Exile would be slightly better than Bolt in this matchup, but with all the free sacrifice outlets, it's not even that good. All right. I'm going to get a Sword of Fafa. So Fafa.
I'll go to 16 and get this altar down while Todd's tapped out.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I have a damn mana leak.
No force of negation.
No force negation. But we get to see Stoneforge shine, perhaps. Your turn. And this is actually just going to probably showcase how stupid Altar is. What are you at? 15? 18?
I'm at 16. Bloodghast.
Sure,
What equipment did you get?
Safafa.
Bill myself for 2.
Okay. Hit another Bloodghast. So lucky.
Life fetch land, return the Bloodghasts.
Yeah.
Mill myself for 4.
Sure.
Crack this fetch, go to 13. Return the 2 Bloodghasts.
Sure.
Play Insolent Neonate.
Sure.
Sack Neonate, discarding Bridge.
Oh, you dummy. Bring back the Bridgevine.
No.
You what? You cast 2
Oh, I
creatures.
hardcast the Bloodghast. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot I had hardcast it.
You
Normally,
dummy.
this does not count towards Vengevine. So just in my head, it never happens. But yeah, we do get the Vengevine.
Yeah.
Did not think I was. Well, we just get everything.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid.
What's
Really.
it like to have it all?
That's pretty nice.
I could have held up Mana League on 2, but like, what am I gonna do? Not cast Stoneforge on 2? Are you kidding me? Why? And you discarded check, hold.
Okay, a Bridge trigger on the stack. Are we finding a different sword or different?
Bolt this.
I
I ain't got no germ token.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad.
Just make a million zombies in response.
Oh yeah, because I was thinking like how I need to cast the Hogak with these, but I'm getting zombies with them, so it doesn't matter. So I
Start
probably
with 4. Just go for the gusto.
okay. I'll go for everything.
Good.
Okay,
Go
so
4.
this one's probably not happening, or definitely not happening. So we can ignore that.
And this is with the bridge trigger on the stack after Stoneforge is done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one's still going to stay around. Now we can get 2 zombies from each of these. Mill 2. And then 2 more zombies.
And then no, you have 2 bridges now. Or no, one's going away. But,
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 1 bridge goes away. Cast Sagak. Mill yourself for 8. Try
Yeah.
to find another bridge. Try to mill yourself.
I mean, I think you're just dead because I have the
Yeah.
second Hogak.
You know. Oh, you have a second Hogak. Okay.
So now we can dredge 5. Sack here, mill ourselves for 8, get a zombie.
Face cam.
Okay, now I have 3 bridges. Do we need to go through this? We did this on Tuesday.
Yeah. F6.
Okay, so
Yeah, you got to give me time to grab the germ token.
All right. Do you want to just go to break because we'll do sideboard? Oh, we're not doing breaks. Yeah. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna pick them up.
Yeah, I just cast Hogak, sack it, mill 8, get 3 zombies.
So effectively, if you were not here on Tuesday, 2 Bridges in the Grave, Hogak, and Altar of Dementia is self-sustaining.
Yeah.
You mill yourself for 8, you get 2 zombies. The 2 zombies pay for the 2 black mana.
And then
you deal
5 of the 8.
5 of the 8 get exiled. You recast Hogak.
Yeah.
And then that lets you mill your whole deck. You get a bajillion zombies, and then that lets them mill my whole deck.
Yeah, and then I start sacrificing the Hogak, milling Todd. Yeah. And then between that and all the zombies I've made, you have enough to mill them out.
Yeah.
Unless your opponent's playing Battle of Wits, which someone did in the challenge last weekend.
They did. That made me extremely happy.
Yeah, you probably can't mill 269 cards.
No, but you can create 4,000 power or whatever.
Yeah.
So. All right, so we're not going to be taking a sideboard break here. We're just going to be sideboarding live. So while we're doing that, Robbo, if you have any questions for us, holler.
Yeah, Histeus wanted to know, in your list, why are you going with Surgical Extraction, Ravenous Trap over like Rest in Peace as you would usually see in a white deck?
So I have 4 Snapcaster Mage as a core key component in my deck, and I don't really want to board it out. And this is also kind of built how I would want to build the deck in the format, like not necessarily super hateful towards the Hogak deck in general. So I want to kind of keep it clean. Like, obviously, I can play 4 Rest in Peace, 4 Leyline of the Void, or some crap if I want to, but, like, you know, it's not really fair. It's not really showcasing what the deck is about. And if I play Rest in Peace, then I no longer get that cool Snapcaster Surgical Extraction combo. So, plus, I think I can beat Ross as long as I just get to Surgical Bridges. I think I can withstand the rest of it. So that's kind of how I was thinking when I was building it.
Good luck with that.
Okay, dude. Oh, you're bringing in 2 cards?
Yeah.
Nice. You want to talk some, or do you?
No, Thalia's great. I'm just waiting on you. You got a lot of cards you're bringing in there. Got some Wrath of Gods.
I don't know if I'm bringing in all of them. Thinking.
Got some Day of Judgments. Yeah, Lightning Bolt didn't look so good in game 1.
Did not. I don't know if I even want spot removal at all. I kind of just want the 4 Wrath effects and then a bunch of graveyard hate. But that's still 8 cards, and I still have to board 4 more out. I just board out Stoneforge Mix. Probably the worst card in the deck. And it probably wouldn't be that bad to sideboard out in this matchup, honestly. I'm thinking about it. What you got for me, Rob, since Ross ain't talking?
Also, Todd, why did you choose Sword of Feast and Famine, and you didn't include any others in the sideboard?
I want to keep it tight. One of the biggest arguments against Stoneforge is that the opportunity cost is really low to play it. The 2 equipment and 4 Stoneforge package, especially with Jason Mind Sculptor, to be able to shuffle them back if you really need to. You know, you could have had a Fire and Ice in the sideboard, Warm Peace if you want. I mean,
I think the more counter spells you have, the more I like sort of Feast and Famine, right? Because then your ability to hold up mana is really important. And you got a bunch of snaps and then mana leaks and probably got some cryptics in there.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I have cryptic because I'm like Jace Mind Sculptor kind of. I probably should have some. This is not like the optimal build of the deck. This is just kind of what I was envisioning the deck to look like. Very cheap. I'm only playing like 22 lands, I think. I have 2 Jace, 1 Teferi up top, 2 Supreme Verdict main, but, you know, I just kind of modeled it after the old Ben Stark version from Pro Tour Paris way back when. I mean, this might take me a minute. I don't know what I'm doing.
Got no Gideon Juras, though. Maybe you could use some Gideon Juras.
Honestly, I thought about it. I thought Teferi might be a little bit better. People might make fun of me for playing Gideon over Teferi.
And by people, Todd means me.
Yeah, just specifically only Ross. All right, I'm going to cut the mana leaks because they're a little slow. I like the 1 mana ones, but the 2 mana ones, I can't really hold up mana leak very often. So 4, 10.
They didn't even play 4 mana leaks in Paris. In their standard list, they had 2.
Sure. 4
Spell Pierce.
I had 4 in a lot of my standard versions.
Yeah.
Once everything kind of got settled.
Yeah. No, it pretty quickly moved to more leaks and fewer pierces, but they played 4 because they thought turn 2 Hawk, turn 3 Hawk, leave up Pierce, or turn 2 Stoneforge, turn 3 Activate, leave up Pierce was an important sequence.
All right. Well, I don't need to explain why I'm sideboarding this way. This is just how I am sideboarding so that you know. It's not like Stoneforge is a deck you're going to come into contact with in Modern very often. So
I could be nice to Todd and like bring in Wismares and stuff to answer potential rest in pieces, but
why would he be nice? He doesn't have the
Yeah.
marbles, and he hasn't had them in years.
literal years. It's been 84 years.
In dog years, maybe it might have been an actual dog year since you had marbles. I don't actually know how many dog year or how many days are in dog year, but
I mean, if one human year is 7 dog years, then one human day is a dog week. So a dog year is a seventh of a year, so about 7 weeks. 7.5 weeks.
Can we go check the tape and see how long it's been since Ross had the marbles?
I think it's been less than 7.5 weeks. I think it's been about a month.
I think it has been at least a month, but it's not been that much more than a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk about it later. But all right, I'll be on the play here for game number 3.
There you go. You always wanted to be on the play.
About time. I was on the play last game and I got clowned.
That's true.
My God, this hand's good.
And yeah, okay.
All right. Island. Serum. 19. Here you go. Or after I scry, I guess. But if you would like to draw your card and formulate your turn before you do anything, so I don't get any information for my serum visions.
Todd, Scooter says you lost your marbles many years ago.
All right, Scooter. We'll keep both. This hand is fine.
Yeah, I'll go to 18 and play a Faithless Looting.
Sure.
Excuse me. So we once again have a Gravecrawler we want to pitch, and beyond that, let's go with a Polluted Delta.
Go.
Insolent Neonate.
Sure.
Sacrifice it, pitching Bridgevine.
Yup.
Block Cleave Cliffs, Stitcher Supplier, trigger Bridgevine.
Yeah.
Trigger Stitcher Supplier.
Yeah.
Cast Hogak.
Cool.
Todd does not have priority after the supplier finishes doing its thing, so none of his hate cards are going to stop that. Yep. Tells me his hand is great. Tops off visions, tops off opt.
Oh, yeah. You think you're winning this game? That's funny. It's real funny. It's a funny joke. Cast your altar, try to combo kill me, let's go. And the next turn, you got nothing. It's all going away, Ross. See the gears turning in his head. He's like, what? What? How? Huh? I shouldn't have said anything. Now he's going to figure out the best line possible to play around everything.
And I got a lot of options here. Different things I can do. Carrying Feeder.
Okay.
Sacrifice Supplier, mill myself for 3.
Okay.
Gravecrawler.
You know, cast or sack Bridgevine first or not?
No, because then you can get it with a Ravenous Trap.
Okay, that resolves.
And I'm... attack you for 12.
All right. 8.
7. Shock to 18. Or, no, to 15, right? I fetch shock on this.
I don't know if you fetch shock, but you definitely shock.
I think I
Yeah.
discarded this, so I think I just regular shock. So I'm at 16.
Okay, 16-7.
You can go.
All right. Day of Judgment, Ravenous Trap you.
Not much I could have done about that.
Here we go.
Looting.
Sure.
Discard 2 blood gas. Play Bloodstained Mire and trigger them.
It's really dumb because I have another. Or let me check your lands. I guess you probably have all your Goblet Shrines, right? Yep. I'm dead.
Attack for 4.
I'm at 3.
You can go. There's no reason for me to let Todd have another sweeper into another Ravenous Trap or Surgical, so I'm going to leave the fetch land uncracked rather than cast the looting.
Gonna play a Seer Visions.
Yep.
And dead. Cool. Go.
And now I'll cast this looting.
I'll pierce it, I guess.
Okay. Attack.
Block.
You go to 1.
Yep.
Play another Bloodstained Mire, return it.
Sure.
You can go.
Fetch. Yikes! Bikes! Man.
Just to explain, you couldn't trap there because of the fetch land, correct?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically, he plays the fetch land. The 2 Bloodghast triggers go on the stack. If I cast Trap, he just fetches again, gets a land, brings them both back with the trap still on the stack, and it goes over the top of it. They come into play. I burn Ravenous Trap for nothing.
You'd gotten the second half of the looting. It's not nothing.
Look, you smug son of a bitch. Oh, I get to play the most broken deck in modern history. Look how bad I'm beating Todd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we retitle the show to just exactly what he said?
This is the second versus in a row now where I've let Ross play the most broken deck in modern history.
Is it more broken than Eldrazi?
I think it might be.
It's unclear. I think
It's only been legal for 6 days.
yeah.
In real life, it's been legal for 6 days. It's so stupid.
Unclear to me if it is more.
It's hard. It's easier to hate. I'll
Yeah.
say that. But even still, like, you know, I literally just left you with 3 cards in hand, no presence on turn 4. It was your turn 3, my turn 4.
Yeah.
And you just double blood gas attack 4. Have you know, play around it.
So what you're saying is drawing back-to-back Bloodghast that turn was good.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Because my hand was 2 lands and a Faithless Looting.
Dude, that's why Faith Sling's busted. Well,
Yeah, well, we already knew that.
yeah.
I've been knowing that for a long time.
All right, so Todd, where do you stand on unbanning Stoneforge Mystic?
I've gone back and forth a lot on that and Splinter Twin. My gut says it will have a minimal impact on Modern, as far as I don't think it'll ever have a stranglehold the way it did when it was in Standard. And because of that, I think that it, even though it kind of homogenizes a lot of white decks based on the fact that it's so easy to put into a deck, I like that white has that type of a card. Really powerful 2-drop, has some flexibility. I would lean on unbanning Stoneforge Mystic, but I will always lean towards unbanning things as opposed to keeping them banned, just because I like people to be able to play with their cards. Hand's pretty good. Yours looks not good.
It's not good.
Dude, your deck's insane. Just mulligan. You could win on a lot of 5s.
Yeah, I should probably just mulligan that hand. It's got like a lot of pieces. If I drew a Faithless Looting, it's great.
Of course, it's great. It's the best card in your deck.
I don't even think that's true. I think Altar of Dimension is the best card in the deck. Also, if I drew an Altar...
Altar Dimension is the most powerful card in your deck. I think that you are way happier to start any 1-land Faithless Looting than you are any 2-land Altar. But I could be wrong. Faithless Looting just fixes every bad hand. It's like Brainstorm.
question for you, Ross. How do you play around? Well, not how, but how do you measure when to play against a Ravenous Trap if you don't know that your opponent is sideboarding?
If I have not seen Ravenous Trap and it's not a list that commonly plays Ravenous Trap, I'm not very inclined to play around it until they show it to me, unless I'm very far ahead and I feel like that's the only way I can lose. So I'm pretty aggressive in playing into cards. You know, back when I was playing Dredge, I would frequently just not sideboard an answer to Rest in Peace against a white deck, assuming that like didn't have it, or you know, if I had to bring in a bunch of other cards, I just didn't have room. If they had Rest in Peace in game 2, yeah, good beats.
Yeah. Then game 3, maybe you have a couple or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. I'm always in the dark, just like assuming my opponent never has it. You know, when I'm playing graveyard decks.
Did you just mulligan to 7?
I didn't mulligan. I said my hand was great. I haven't.
I thought you did mulligan. No, was that last game you mulligan? I don't.
What are you talking about? I've just been sitting here talking to chat. 18.
Also 18.
Sure.
You can go.
Not yet, friend. Tilt. Go.
Attack for 1.
19. 18, 17. Sorry.
I'll go to... no, we don't need to. Yeah. I will go to 15 and play Athalia.
I will play an opt-in response.
That's smart.
And Snapcaster Mage here, a little too expensive. I'm just going to bottom it.
Okay. You're up.
I'm going to fetch tapped before I cast Serum Visions. Basically giving Ross the green light to have a busted turn, but I can't play Serum Visions and cast another spell. Except for Force Negation? Maybe I should just wait.
Or Surgical Extraction, or Ravenous Trap, or...
Okay, good point.
I mean, I would just fetch... I would still fetch first. Because you...
I don't want to fetch Shock, and I need red. I think I'll just gamble a little.
Okay.
Alright, I have a... Let me put a Snapcaster Mage on the bottom of my deck, just to guarantee that it's there, because that's the card that should be there.
Yeah.
I think... No, I cast another Opt. What was the other card I put on bottom? You know what? I don't care. I'm off it. Serum Vision. Draw. Top 2. Stoneforge Mystic. I have both equipment in my hand. I'll put that out.
Sounds like you could use a Brainstorm.
Your turn. Cost 2.
No, it doesn't.
You just killed me. Just put me out of my misery. Come on, Ross. Okay.
Yeah. Let's play an unit.
Yeah.
Sacrifice it, discarding Gravecrawler.
Sure.
Play a Gravecrawler.
Sure.
Play Delta and attack for 3. I don't want to sack this Gravecrawler because then Todd will be able to use a Ravenous Trap or Surgical in response to the Carrion Feeder activation. So I'm just going to get in 3 and pass.
And I'll fetch on a 13. Take one down to 16.
Did you shock on turn 1?
Yes.
Okay, so you're at 13. 13 to 15.
Yeah. Snap, Serum Visions.
Sure.
Go.
Okay, now end step I'll sack here because I plan on recasting it on my turn anyway, and then we'll crack this fetch, and that's 2 cards in the graveyard. Although I guess you're tapped out, so we don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah.
But still good to develop those habits. I'm going to be sacrificing it anyway because I'd rather attack with 3/3 Carrion Feeder and Thalia than attack with everything, or attack with just Gravecrawler and Thalia. So. So we have 14, 13. That's an interesting one. Play Gravecrawler.
Yep.
Play Faithless City.
Cost 2.
That's true.
Tap down, you have Thalia, so just
Yep.
do your thing.
Yeah, that'll play. So we can discard those two, play our land for turn, play Gravecrawler, and then play Hogak.
You can just tap the Thalia and not lose your looting.
Yeah, I guess that's better. We're a little vulnerable to a sweeper, but
11. Supreme Verdict.
got the trap.
No. What do you have in there? Just Gravecrawler, Hogak?
Yep.
Okay, your turn. Just hope you don't have a couple black creatures. Right, I'm gonna Surgical Gravecrawler in response. We go to 9. What's in your hand? Bridge. Okay. Well, that's good for me. That means he can flashback looting. The odds of him, he needs to hit exactly Bloodghast. Then he can maybe do some cool stuff if he hits it.
Yep. Not a ton I can do to play around something like that. Like I can't leave a Gravecrawler in my hand against Surgical. That would be good against Trap.
That's kind of why I have that sideboard plan of just Wrath. Like I don't have spot removal, I just have Wrath plus the Graveyard Hate to hope that that's enough. Because you go so wide naturally that I think the spot removal is just not very good. But the sweepers are okay, even though they don't really play well against Bridge.
Yeah, it's flashback looting. Close. And I guess we can just pass the turn. Now, any sort of Neonate, Bloodghast would be excellent.
Go.
Got the removal spell for Carrion Feeder.
I have things. I'm just thinking.
Things. Do you have stuff too? Do you have stuff and things?
Mm-hmm.
God, that's so lucky.
Yeah. Scared of you having a second creature to cast to bring back the Vengevine, but not that scared. Like, so the thing is, I have Day of Judgment on top, and I have Snapcaster in hand. So I kind of want to like get rid of your bridges with the Snap Surgical, and then just Wrath you next turn. I guess that's probably best. Yeah, I just don't really want you to make bridges. So this is on the stack. Now go to 7. Get your bridges.
I have Hogak Mire. You knew about the Mire. And you have 3 in hand now?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately not able to cast a Hogak into Vengevine. I'm going to be one short of that. Don't have another creature, so I could...
You could fetch and then cast the Hogak from hand, exile your whole graveyard. That seems pretty bad.
Agreed. So what I will do is just attack with this. I want to, so I can blow the mire to get 2 counters on the carrion feeder and attack with both.
Well, you don't have to blow the mire, right? You can sack this, put a counter, play the land, get it back, then attack with these.
Then if you block here, I sack the Bloodghast.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's sack here, play the mire, return it, attack. So weird line. Okay, you go to 5.
Oh, wait a minute. Chump blocking?
Yeah.
This kind of burns through your bridge or your Bloodstained Mire. So what are you at? Or what
You're go to 5.
5?
7 from the surgical, 5.
Okay.
Pass.
And you're at 14?
Yep.
Your turn.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
I'm going to be pretty screwed against another surgical regardless. But still, do I really need to go for the extra counter on the carrion feeder?
I mean, you can make it a 5/5, which is important.
Yeah. So if Todd has surgical here, I'll sack, make carrion feeder 3/3, crack the fetch, get back 2 Bloodghasts. Then I can tap these 3 and exile these 4 and cast this Hogak and then return the Vengevine. If you have surgical, you're going to surgical this Bloodghast in response to this fetch anyway and stop me from doing that. But if I give you both Bloodghasts, I think I'm in pretty rough shape.
Pretty sure you just kill me, man. Just kill me.
I certainly don't kill you.
Yes, you do. You get back the Vengevine and the Bloodghast. And
The Bloodghasts are tapped to cast the Hogak.
Okay. Well, you have 2 4-power attackers attacking, and okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not dead. But okay.
Go 13. It's just about how much I want to risk it in the face of whatever. So return Bloodghast. Now exile these 4 to delve, tap these 3 to convoke, cast the Hogak from hand. That's the second creature. Return Vengevine. And do I attack with the Vengevine? I don't think so. Because it's just going to trade with the germ and you gain 4 life. Whereas next turn, I'll be able to attack with a bunch of stuff. And you'll have to chump block with it, or I'll sack the thing that you block and kill you. And if you have a sweeper, then I don't want to give you the extra 4 life. So, yeah, I'll just pass.
You're 4.
Yep.
Attack for 6. You go to 7. I go to 10. You have no hands. I'll untap and cast Day of Judgment. Or Wrath of God, or whatever.
Yeah, so I guess I just missed 4 damage. You wouldn't have cracked the fetch, but...
You didn't miss 4 damage. I would have just... I guess I would have just blocked and then just cast Day of Judgment, and I still would have been at 9.
Sure. So I took 6 and let you gain 2 life.
Yeah, but I had to have exactly sword for that to matter.
Yeah.
And I haven't Stoneforged for anything.
Well, this is not good. Okay, that's actually not a bad draw if I can find a land.
Okay. Bounce Batter Skull.
But I guess I don't have any bridges to really go off with it.
Play Batter Skull.
Yep.
The germ. Say go.
Turn these.
Yep.
This gets awkward now with me at exactly 7.
Yeah, you can't really crack the Bloodstained Mire unless you're killing me.
Yeah. what am I trying to hit? Like Faithless Lootings. It's going to be hard to win from here. It's hard to beat Batterskull plus Sword once it gets going, especially when I don't have bridges to make a bunch of blockers. My only blockers are...
Yeah, pro black anyway.
Yeah, so my only blocker is a Neonate. I guess I might as well mill myself because these aren't really attacking. I guess I can attack you first because you're still at 10.
Means you can't bring back Bridgevine, but I guess I don't think you can anyway.
I mean, if I cast 2 creatures, I can still bring it back.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be pre-combat.
Oh, yeah. I always confuse that with Arclight. Block 1.
Okay, sack the one you blocked to mill myself for 2.
I go to 8.
You're at 8, and... You're up.
Draw. Play ops.
Yep.
Chase the Mind Sculptor. I guess I can look at your top card. That's pretty good. Chase. Faithless Looting. Yeah, we're going to put that one on bottom. I'm going to equip. Attack you for 6. Put you to 1. I go to 14. Untap all my lands. Your turn.
That is only 1 creature.
You have a Gravecrawler?
No, they got surgicaled.
Oh, yeah. I'm so
Mill
smart.
myself for 1.
All right. Dude, 4th Vengevine. You could have been going off.
Maybe I want to bring in Ingot Chewer.
Maybe. It is
like
one of my easiest routes to victory is just like the Batterskull. And if you, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be exposed usually to an Ingot Chewer, though. But it does kill Sword.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems like a fairly accurate representation of that matchup. The main deck is not very well equipped to handle graveyard strategies. And obviously, if both these decks were legal in Standard, I think that, there's a good chance that this is built a lot more like the Azorius control decks that you see with main deck Surgical Extraction and things like that. I just wanted to have more of a pure Game 1 experience with the archetype.
I mean, we saw pretty similar things happen to Azorius Control on Tuesday, where in the pre-board games you kind of got run over.
Yeah.
But there in the
Even when
post-board
it had
games,
surgicals.
like the combination of sweepers plus surgical or trap was quite good, with just a little bit to slow me down to make sure you got to turn 4, and then the cleaning that up or following that lineup while I'm recovering with Stoneforge Mystic or the various equipment was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Like Sword and Batterskull both did a pretty good job at trumping the like extra creatures that I have lying around or I'm able to find in the turns after you get rid of my graveyard.
And that's kind of the strength of the Batterskull Stoneforge Mystic package is that you have a bit of longevity with the fact that you can bounce the Batterskull. We saw even in that game, I was able to deploy it early, hit you for a bit, untap my lands with a sword and cast Wrath, and then still bring it back to my hand and then cast it next turn. So it's kind of that repeatable effect. It's obviously not as degenerate as the repeatable effects out of like the Bridge from Below decks or the Arclight Phoenixes, but you still have that package with Stoneforge Mystic early on that it kind of just acts like a really cheap Baneslayer Angel. So I understand the threat of it and the fear of it, but I just don't think that it's like so much higher here than the things that currently exist. And in fact, I think it's below power level of things that do exist in Modern, personally.
Yeah, that might be the case, but it still seems really clean and easy to just mop up whatever they're doing once you've spent your other 54 cards on interactive spots and interactive things. So, you get your 6 pieces of Graveyard Hate and your Snapcasters and your Force of Negations and your Cryptic Commands and your spot removal if you want that against creature decks, and then, spend the first, 3 or 4 turns trading off, and if you have a spot in that time to land your Stoneforge Mystic, yeah, by all means do it and be able to get aggressive. But otherwise, it's still going to be a really good 2-mana play on turn 5 or 6, unlike a card like Bitter Blossom that really needs to be cast on turn 2.
Sure.
The fact that Stoneforge Mystic is effective at basically every spot, every point in the game, is still going to be a powerful threat is important. It's versatile in that it lets you play defensively or aggressively. Its opportunity cost is low in that it only takes up 6 spots in your deck. and the equipment themselves are reasonable draws when you're playing things like Snapcaster Mage or a creature lane. Like maybe you could put Moorland Haunt in a deck like that.
Yeah, I toyed with the idea of just playing Azorius and playing like Mutavaults and maybe even Spell Center Sprites as opposed to Snapcaster Mages, and then I wouldn't have felt bad about playing like 4 Rest in Peace in the sideboard, for example. Because I have 0 reliance on the graveyard, but I just thought there was a chance that I was just getting a little too cute. But there's a lot of different ways to build it, and I think that throughout Legacy's history with Stoneforge Mystic, you can kind of see a bunch of different iterations and perhaps try out a lot of those types of versions in Modern, which I think would be kind of cool. Personally, I like the type of magic that Stoneforge Mystic presents. Like, for example, Stoneforge Mystic puts a clock on your opponent, but also plays a little defense. But it's only really oppressive against a deck that has a bunch of 3 damage burn spells. And even then, they can still interact with Stoneforge Mystic proper, and then it's just like, okay, well, I drew a Baneslayer Angel, but it's just kind of sitting in my hand.
It's not the issue with Stoneforge Mystics is not that it's oppressive along any single axis of Magic, because it's not that kind of card. It's very much a fair, mid-range card that slots into very interactive decks. The problem with it is that it has absolutely no weaknesses, and it scores really highly on every metric. Like I said, low opportunity cost, versatility. It's cheap, but it doesn't lose any, power level going long. It generates card advantage, so even if they trade a removal spell for it, it does something. So like there's just no, there's no way to interact with it profitably other than a 1 and 2 mana counterspell.
I actually think that discard spells are quite good against Stoneforge Mystic, specifically Thoughtseize because it can take Batterskull. I know that when I played a lot of Legacy with Stoneforge Mystic, Thoughtseize was a card that I was always afraid of and always having to kind of play around with Stoneforge Mystic, because if you ever expose your Batterskull to a Thoughtseize deck, you basically lose on the spot, because you're at that point you just have like some Planeswalkers to win the game with, and it's a pretty scary proposition against a deck with a bunch of like Maelstrom Pulses or what have you, like Answers to Jace.
Yeah. You're playing a bunch of discard spells in your deck in a matchup that is bound to go long, and so those discard spells lose a lot of value going long, whereas their counter spells stay good. Your discard is good against counter spells. It's a reasonable point of interaction. You're still down the 1/2 body, which is not a lot, but it's something.
Sure. I mean, I personally, I think so much in the same way that and we'll get to this later, but much in the way that cards like Splinter Twin and Stoneforge Mystic promote fairly proactive stance against any opponent they're playing against. I like the fact that they allow your opponent to interact with you on 3 to 4 different levels. Like you can use creature removal, enchantment destruction, discard, what else? Or counter spells to interact with Stoneforge Mystic. The same can be said basically for Splinter Twin if you just consider Twin like something you can hit with a Celestial Purge or a Disenchant, and if you time it right.
Yeah, the issue is that none of them are really clean answers to everything the card does, and the fact that the card is just so efficient at what it does.
Oh, and that's certainly fair. The most fun I've ever had playing Magic in Modern was playing against Splinter Twin. Personally, I loved it. I thought that jockeying for position on the battlefield, having the turns where you just had to basically hope they didn't have it, but if they do have it, you die. But if they don't have it, you can set yourself up in a really prominent position to win the game. It felt a lot just like playing pure Magic. And that's the best I can put it. And I think Stoneforge Mystic acts on a very similar wavelength, though there's not that anxiety built into it like with Splinter Twin.
Yeah, Splinter Twin operates on a false tempo axis that is very different than anything Stoneforge Mystic is doing. But they're both very skill intensive, or I don't want to say skill intensive because I think that obfuscates or sort of denies the skill that goes into playing linear decks and building linear decks and playing against them. But it plays a sort of very traditional, creature and removal spell kind of Magic, tempo and card advantage, as opposed to centering the game around a specific engine that one deck is trying to execute. And they're very decision intensive games. They tend to be pretty long games. And so a lot of players really like playing those kinds of games of Magic, but I would caution against describing that as like pure Magic, because it's still just one way that you can do it.
I wasn't talking about pure Magic the Gathering. I was talking about like pure unadulterated magical feeling. Like it was euphoric. I love playing with and against Splinter Twin. It is very fun. Regardless. All right, so that is match 1 in the books. Do we got any questions over there? Or
there was one
go.
question that a lot of people had was at the end of the game there when you fate sealed with Jace, why did you put looting on the bottom when in that situation it simply would have been he draw 2, discard 2?
I don't know. Everything was gone. I don't think that there's a draw that allows him to. I guess grave colors are gone. I was at high enough life for Bloodghast didn't matter. I don't think there's any way for him to actually double spell because he needs 2 creatures for Hogak. So I guess maybe.
I don't think I had any outs.
I also don't think you had any outs.
I don't think there was a single card in my deck that did anything at that point.
I probably should have just brainstormed.
I needed an extra life point.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Off it.
Just want to get to playing that twin.
That's fair. I mean, I'm cool taking some more questions. I mean, you know, we got a lot of stuff on the docket today, but 4 games of this matchup is about as much as I want to do.
There was a question about Jite. Is Jite 2 broken for Modern?
I don't think it's too broken. I just don't think it promotes healthy play patterns. Like, I think it is very easy to kind of grind through a 4/4 lifelinker or whatever, but like the moment Umezawa's Jite hits and then starts to go to work on creatures, it ends the game. Like a hit from Battered Skull, you gain some life. Against a burn deck, that could end the game. That's fine. But against a Jite, like, you know, it's so versatile in what it does. It like helps closing speed sometimes. Can pick off like mana dorks and things like that. It can really just be oppressive for strats. Whereas like every other equipment, I think has like the downside of costing 1 extra mana, like a Sword of Feast and Famine or Fire and Ice or whatever, or just being like a 4/4 lifelinker. So
Jite is near the top of my list of cards I'd like to see unbanned in Modern, if not the very top.
I mean, that's fine. You no longer have the check of your Jite countering their Jite, though, so it actually just makes like some artifacts a little more.
There's also just a lot more versatile artifact destruction spells, like Abrade and Kolaghan's Command are very good against a card like that. Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, all of those things are clean answers to a card that didn't really have any before. Like the reason people were playing Jites to kill them because they just had no good ones. The only good one in all of Kamigawa block was Wear Away and Hearth Kami.
Well, working into that, like people have mentioned in chat that because Kolaghan's Command exists, that Stoneforge should probably be a safe unban. How do you feel about that argument that like a card is safe because there are like these certain answers?
The issue with there's a little bit of a difference between Stoneforge Mystic versus those cards and Jite versus those cards. Jite, like they're forced to commit the Jite to, and they have to commit 4 mana. To play and equip it onto any creature. You can tempo them out with just a simple removal spell on that creature, or you can get them with Abrade and Kolaghan's Command and things like that. With Stoneforge Mystic, the decks that it goes in are decks that have a lot of ways to protect it. They play counter spells and things like that, and they're only committing 2 mana on your end step to put the Stoneforge Mystic on the battlefield, and at instant speed that's important. So they get to pass with their counterspell mana up, and a Stoneforge Mystic in play, and you sit there with your Kolaghan's Command and say, like, okay, I've got to like have this K command for their Battered Skull, pass the turn with 3 mana up. They can just look at that and say, okay, untap, do nothing.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same problem that people had playing against Splinter Twin, is that it puts you in spots where you just could never use your mana efficiently, because if you tried to, you would lose on the spot. Or, it just created those black hole scenarios where they don't actually have the combo, but you're still so afraid of the combo that you can just never actually play Magic.
Yeah. So the Stoneforge Mystic, once it's on the battlefield, puts them in a seat where they're dictating the tempo of the game. And it's really difficult for you to use reactive cards to regain that proactive position, because they're the one that gets to decide when to commit the card, and they can commit it once they have a Dispel for your K command or some other counter spell.
Or just a Spell Pierce.
Yeah.
Spell Pierce is going to see a lot of play if Stoneforge Mystic gets unbanned for sure.
So you're pretty much forced to deal with the Stoneforge Mystic with your removal spell. Like, I think that if they play Stoneforge Mystic on the draw, your K command should probably kill Stoneforge Mystic. You discard a card.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the more you wait, the more chance you have of just getting completely blown out.
Or just falling behind to their other things. When you pass with your K command up and they say, okay, I won't put it in, untap, play Jace.
Yeah.
And now you're behind 3 mana and they're getting value with the Planeswalker. Then you're forced to tap out and then they put their Batterskull onto the battlefield.
So, more in the same vein, going back to the Umazao Jite specifically, I just wanted to say that in Legacy with Stoneforge, and this is the most comparison because it's just the easiest comparison because of the most experience I have playing with Stoneforge was in Legacy for years. I always felt like Umezawa's Jite was the better of the two between it and Batterskull. More matchups where it was just overtly oppressive versus where Batterskull was kind of just okay against most things because it was a clock. But the matchups where you get Umezawa's Jite down and you connect one time just felt unlosable at times. And I never felt that very often with Batterskull. And it's one of the reasons why I'm hesitant to think that Jite would be safe. At the very least, I think that either Jite is unplayable or it's oppressive. And in either scenario, my only question is, why would you bother?
Well, I have 2 issues with the way you framed this. One, I think the fact that you have fonder memories of finding and putting in Umezawa's Jite partly has to do with the fact that it has a significantly higher floor than Batterskull. Most people are killing Stoneforge Mystic on site, and once they do that, you'd rather have the Jite in your hand than the Batterskull. It's easier to cast, get on the battlefield, equip your Snapcaster Mage, do whatever with it. And in the scenario where you find your equipment and they don't answer your Stoneforge at all, so they don't have a removal spell, then you can just put the Jite on your Stoneforge and probably win just like you would have with Batterskull. So there's a little bit of a bias there. And also, the context of Legacy is significantly different than that of Modern. Legacy, because of all of the cheap interaction, especially free spells and Wasteland, lowers the curves of every deck, which also lowers the sizing of creatures. People are playing Delver of Secrets a lot in Legacy. They're basically never playing that card in Modern. The creatures that are seeing play in Modern are significantly bigger outside of something like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Mana creatures. I think there are plenty of creatures where the -1/-1 ability, which is the most used, I would say, or at least most devastating ability of Jite, is not going to do a whole lot. Like maybe you'll pick off a creature off that first trigger, which will be relevant and it'll be good enough to make it see play, especially because the life gain is also relevant in certain matchups. And then sometimes the +2/+2s can help you get through. But that's where the power level of the card decreases within the context of Modern, and it also decreases within the context of 2019 versus when the card was first printed in 2005 or 2005. When again creatures were much smaller, like Dark Confidant seeing a ton of play, which was printed later that year, and the 2 counters on it and -1/-1 to 2 different things was really devastating. Forked Bolt is a card that sees some play, but it's not an incredibly powerful card within the context of Modern. This is a little bit more powerful, but you're also investing a lot of mana into it, and there's a lot of counterplay that exists that also didn't exist back in the day. So I think Jite would be pretty healthy, and also there's the fact that the creature deck that wants to play it the most, Humans, has a difficult time casting it.
Why would you want a card like Jite in Humans?
Because it's really good in aggressive mirrors.
No,
it's the premier creature aggressive deck.
Umezawa's Jite is great in a deck that goes tall, not wide. You don't want Umezawa's Jite in a deck that plays like 21 and 2-drop and 3-drop creatures or whatever. I think you want it in a deck that plays like, a curve, and it just kind of fits on a mid-range thing, because then those are the types of decks that need the spot removal or sometimes need the life gain. Like, at no juncture would I ever put Umezawa's Jite in my Ether Vial Humans decks, because literally all I want to do every game is disrupt you with one of my disruptive creatures and make 100 power on turn 4. And Jite just doesn't fit into that context in the slightest.
Does it not make a difference in the mirror?
Yeah, it certainly crushes the mirror.
How does it crush the mirror on the draw? They play a Thalia or whatever, and then you just never are able to cast it.
I mean, it'd be in your sideboard. So everybody pours out Thalia, and then you bring in Jite. And then when the game bogs down, you have this thing that picks off all their nobles, picks off all their images.
Okay, so at the very best, it's a good sideboard card in Humans, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but it's the premier creature deck in the format. You know, like decks like Jund would play some copies.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, and it would be quite good. Like they could make some copies too because it's easier for them to cast.
Yeah,
but like there's not an easy home for it.
Well, there's not an easy home for it, but it's a ubiquitous artifact that goes in virtually every mid-range deck. Every Lingering Souls deck would want it. Every Young Pyromancer deck would want it. Every Snapcaster Mage deck would want it. And it's just ubiquitously good across...
Not every Snapcaster deck would want it.
Almost every Snapcaster. Not straight up blue-white control, but like if you have Snapcaster and any other creature in your deck that costs 2 to 3 mana or whatever, you're going to play it.
What deck does that describe?
I don't know. It would change... Look... You can't think of cards like unbanning cards in a vacuum. You have to understand what unbanning it would do to the format. And it would literally just give more life to mid-range decks. And then when other people are playing Jitte, that incentivizes you to also play Jitte because if you're the first to connect with it, you usually invalidate theirs.
So that was part of what was true with Jitte 10 years ago. But now there's a lot more counterplay to it. So I don't think you're forced into that scenario as often. And giving more life to some of those mid-range creature decks would be a good thing for Modern right now. I think mid-range Snapcaster Mage decks are something that would be nice to see, and we haven't really seen them. So if that becomes a thing because of Jitte, that's really nice. And I also don't think
you can do that in a much healthier way than unbanning a really powerful artifact. Like, first of all, colorless things that are just insanely good should just not exist. Like, Karn, Scion of Urza should just not exist. I think that card just is kind of egregious from a design standpoint.
Do you mean Karn the Great Creator?
No. Well, both, but that's a completely different story. When Karn, Scion of Urza first came out, I thought, this is stupid. It's a 4-mana Planeswalker, colorless card draw engine. It has 1 million loyalty. It can win the game by itself. Like,
after the first 2 months, it barely saw play. I don't know.
Do you not understand the difference between power and design flaws?
Well, you're the one who's talking about evaluating things in context. Obviously, Karn, Scion of Urza was printed within the context of the format in which it appeared. If it wasn't that too powerful in that context,
you know what actually made it worse was printing a bunch of really disgusting 3-mana Planeswalkers.
Yeah,
that are blue.
We've seen some Karns pop up in those Planeswalker decks.
Right. The fact that it still pops up in the Planeswalker decks that have like 4 Teferi, a Time Raveler, and 4 Narset or whatever. Like,
why is that a problem? As in, more specifically, why is that a problem for Karn, Scion of Urza, as opposed to a problem of Narset and Teferi?
You know how annoying it is to argue with you sometimes.
So chat's wanting one thing right now, and they want a podcast.
I would never do a podcast with Ross. I get enough of Ross on Versa. This is basically a live podcast. That's all I can handle. I'll just say this. They will never unban Umezawa's Jitte. And if they do, they will ban it within 6 months again.
I don't think that's true. I think the context of Jitte has changed by a huge margin in the last 10 years.
Okay. Agree to disagree. We're going to be moving on here. We got 2 more decks lined up. We're going to be pitting against the Hagak deck, and probably a lot more ban list talk. We'll probably shelve Jitte, maybe get to some of the ones that you like a little more, like Birthing Pod, maybe one I like Green Sun Zenith, as well as just the cards that we're going to be playing with. We're going to be fielding some more questions, so if you have any good ones, make sure to get them at Rob at SCG Tour. But we're going to take a short break because I got to go to the bathroom. Be right back for more Versus Live.